The first ever two-day NBA draft is done, and coming up on today's Philadelphia 76ers Now, it's time to take a look back at what Philadelphia did, what they accomplished, the players who are coming to the Sixers, and hand out some draft grades. The two selections for Philadelphia: Jared McCain, the guard out of Duke, a sharpshooter, round one, 16th overall pick right outside of the lottery. And then Adem Bona, a really intriguing, explosive athlete who's a big, raw, who could end up being a very good backup big behind Joel Embiid. Sixers selected him in round two, pick number 41. He played his college ball at UCLA. Let's obviously begin with the Sixers' first pick, and it's Jared McCain. Going back and looking at the comment section, it feels as though and seems as though a lot of people are mixed on the selection. Some people are saying offense wins in today's NBA, and Philadelphia got a really good shooter, and that elite skill set is a sure thing. It's going to be able to translate to the NBA level. Some other people are saying it's another small guard alongside Tyrese Maxey in a wing league, and Philadelphia is incredibly dumb for making this pick when you could have gone with a wing and don't connect, who went the following pick, 17th to Los Angeles, and he's a ready-to-play, ready-to-contribute wing out of Tennessee who can really score at all three levels. I like the pick of Jared McCain. I do, and I do have some reservations about having a backcourt with Tyrese Maxey and and Jared McCain, because they are two smaller guards, but I do think that both of those guards complement Joel Embiid. Jared McCain is a sharp shooter, has a savvy sense for playmaking. He's garnered some comps of a Steph Curry and a Seth Curry. I don't think he's going to become a Steph-level superstar, but if he ends up becoming a Seth Curry player with better defense, we saw a couple of years ago how valuable Seth Curry was in the rotation for Philadelphia. McCain can launch jumpers off the dribble. He's very comfortable in hitting a step-back three. He'll hit the dribble pull-up. He can get into the mid-range and has a soft shooting touch. He can really shoot the ball from anywhere and has limitless range. And he can fire the rock when moving to either side, away from his shooting hand, toward his shooting hand. And he also has mastered that Tyrese Maxey type of step back. He does have this methodical ball handling, so he knows how to use pace and angles, and he can generate contact like a Jalen Brunson to try to get to the free throw line, and that allows him to generate some space to get that shot off because he is a little bit shorter. And when you are a shorter player, it's important to have that three ball down. It's important to have range because it allows you to get that shot off from distance because defenders aren't always going to be in your mug. It's also important to be able to navigate with your dribble game. McCain can do that, and he's a pretty crafty finisher around the rim like Tyrese Maxey is. You look at his numbers from last year, 14 points per game, 41.5% from three, and that came on nearly 6 3-point attempts per night. So there was a lot of volume there. At Duke, after struggling in the first month, he became Duke's best player. Good run in the NCAA tournament. Played really well in a pressure cooker, in big moments, at the end of games. And that was the case in high school too. When he was growing up in California, he took on some powerhouse high school programs. And he was never overwhelmed by the moment. He is not much of a distributor. He averaged 1.9 assists per game and then 1.3 turnovers. That's why we're not showing you the assists on the screen here, but he plays a little bit bigger than his size at 6'2", 5 rebounds per night. Some of the negatives to his game, he doesn't have that lightning quick first step like a Tyrese Maxey. Sometimes that can limit his ability to create a lot of space right off the dribble. That's why he's somewhat methodical when he handles the rock and will dip that shoulder in and hit that little fadeaway jumper or hit that step back three in order to get that shot away. Look, this is a player who connected on more than 40% of his threes, and down the road, Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey can combine for an elite offensive backcourt. And Nick Nurse won an NBA championship with Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry as his backcourt. So it's been done before as far as high-level success. And if you have a great big like Joel Embiid, which I mentioned earlier, and in free agency, you can get a really good wing, you can see why this fits. So I'm going to give the Jared McCain pick a B. I think that's a pretty solid grade for Jared McCain. Can't go as low as a C. When a player is picked like this, who has this type of skill set in an era of NBA basketball where offense and shooting wins, I can't hate it. And when a guy like Bill Simmons says, this is one of the steals of the draft, I love the selection. He's a Boston guy. Smart NBA people are applauding this pick. For Daryl Morey, who said, we got an offer for a pretty interesting player at 16. We stood pat because Jared McCain was a top 10 player on our board. Top 10 player falling into their laps at 16. You always try to go best player available and at the same time get some really good value. If you love the NBA and you love the Philadelphia 76ers, subscribe to us here on 76ers Now. I think our draft content has been really, really good. We went live for both rounds, both days, and for free agency, we're running it back. Hit that subscribe button down below for year-round, and at this point, daily coverage of the 76ers. Second round pick for Philadelphia, a big who I'm fascinated by because of the game, the athlete, and the story, Adem Bona. A big out of UCLA. The Sixers pick him with the 41st overall pick. He grew up in Nigeria. And for our pick breakdown of Adem Bona, I talked about this, but we have a lot of new eyeballs for this show, so let's run it back. So he grew up playing soccer as a midfielder, but switched to basketball because of his height. He often played basketball with makeshift hoops and fields. He didn't start playing basketball until the age of like 13 when he moved to Turkey, and he left behind the rest of his family and began his career with Istanbul Basket. In 2019, he made his professional debut, and then in September of 2020, he continued his career at Prolific Prep in Napa, California. So once again, he made a big move, this time to the United States. And he worked his way to becoming a consensus 5-star recruit after averaging 15.5 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, 3.5 blocks, 2.5 assists per game. And he was named a 2022 McDonald's All-American. That rise from growing up in Nigeria, picking up basketball as a teenager, to becoming a 5-star and then being selected early in the second round is incredible. And I think it's a story worth rooting for in a city like Philadelphia that loves the underdog type of story. Adem Bona is a great athlete who blocks a ton of shots and finishes well around the rim. Despite the athletic profile, though, he surprisingly did not dominate the glass. He's going to have to become a little bit more confident in that jump shot because right now he's not, but he's 6'8". He has a 7'4" wingspan, and he is a great vertical leaper with that wingspan. So while he's a little bit shorter for a big, he can make up for that with him being an explosive vertical athlete, 7'4" wingspan. He's also a switchable defender, really important for bigs, and he could get out to the perimeter to guard the three-point arc. 12.4 points per game last year with UCLA, 6 rebounds. You'd like for that number to be a little bit higher, but nearly 2 blocks per night, 58.8% from the field. He had a 40-inch max vertical, and when he is going downhill, he's scary, like really scary, and he can throw down these thunderous, earth-shattering two-handed slams, and I think that he can be a really good lob threat at the next level and a very good shot blocker. Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer said Adem Bona is going to be the best backup center that Joel Embiid has ever had. And I think that's really high praise. He also said that growing up, he modeled his game after Giannis Antetokounmpo. And you can see that with how he generates turnovers, him pushing the ball in the open floor, the long strides that he has, and just the length, the stupid length that he has. I think Philadelphia looks at this player as somebody who they can really develop into being a very intriguing player down the road. And I wonder with the athleticism, can he get rotation minutes right from the jump? So with Jared McCain, do the Sixers still sign a shooter in free agency? We'll see. With Adem Bona, do you still go after a player like Andre Drummond? We'll certainly see there. I'm going to give the Bona pick a B. I was thinking about maybe a B+. You can go to that range. I'm very intrigued. We have some people here at Chat Sports who love the NBA. They said this is the steal of the draft. And then KOC saying this is a terrific pick. So my overall draft grade for Philadelphia here is a B. Jared McCain, I think, is going to be a good pro at the next level. If he becomes Seth Curry in a weak draft class, pretty damn good. Adem Bona, if he becomes a really good backup center and a Bismack Biyombo type of player, or another big comparison that I saw was Montrezl Harrell. When Montrezl Harrell was in his prime, he was a solid player. So let's bring on producer Chip. McCain, Bona, Sixers draft, complete. What do you think of it all?
I'm a big fan of what the Sixers did here. And Chase did a great job breaking down both players. One thing I want to add, and why I really like the picks so much, is because a lot of people are talking and saying the Sixers got the two highest motor players of any players in the entire draft with McCain and Adem Bona.
Yep.
If you're telling me that doesn't scream Philadelphia to you, I don't know what does. You're going to have two guys who both probably come off the bench. Obviously, Adem Bona definitely will. We'll see what happens with McCain, what the Sixers do in free agency. But now you have two guys off the bench who can give you that energy, that hustle, even when they're having bad games, poor shooting performances, poor defensive performances. They're going to be giving it 110% every single night. And as a rookie, that's all you can really ask of these guys, right? Because you hope, especially in McCain's sake, that he can come in and have a little bit of an immediate impact right away, but it takes a long time for these players to adjust to the NBA, right? Unless you're a special talent, which is why, it's not an A grade for me either, because that'd be like if you drafted a Victor Wembanyama, right? Like, you didn't blow the draft away, but you took two very solid players that I think both can really fit into your rotation and both filled needs, because you needed another creator on offense and another shooter, another floor spacer. You got that in McCain. And we've been talking about it all offseason with Paul Reed not being a true center, a true rim protector, which was a big problem for the Sixers.
Yep.
Now you get a player in Adem Bona who not going to be much of an offensive threat in the paint or spacing the floor. Not going to do any of that. But he's going to hustle. He's athletic, 40-inch vert. Wasn't a great rebounder, but with those tools, one of the things we talked about with Adem Bona is the unteachables, right? You can't teach a 40-inch vert. You can't teach hustle and heart and athleticism.
Yeah.
You can teach rebounding. And you can teach inside scoring and being a better defender, even though he already is a great defender. So I love these two picks. I think a B plus is right in the range where I would be as well. I know some Sixers fans had different reasons for not liking each pick. But look, in my opinion, these are two players who Sixers fans are going to love. They're going to fit into the rotation well. They fill needs. And I think they play the way that we want Sixers players to play.
Versatility, switchability, upside, potential. Lastly, with McCain and Bona, both of them kind of have elite skills already. And again, in a draft that was so wide open, not a consensus player, I don't even think Reese Shea going to the Hawks. I don't even know if he's going to work out number one. So to get prospects with some elite skills and translatable skills, that's really important. A lot of people ripping Daryl Morey. Keep in mind, he had to undo what Brett Brown and Elton Brand did. And this is really the first offseason in which he could fully run the show. And hopefully he comes through big in free agency because we as Sixers fans who have been tortured for so long deserve that. Grade the 76ers 2024 NBA Draft. My grade is a B. What say you? Don't forget to hit that sub button. UDFA tracker tomorrow. More great content to come, and we'll catch you soon.